everyone, it's Lisa and Luna from Don't Run with Scissors, back with another Technique Tuesday. This week I'm starting to play with chalks. Some people will call them pastels, some people will call them chalk pastels. And it's not to be confused with artist grade chalks that are come in the sticks. They're pastels and they artists do draw with them on their canvas. So not to be confused with that. Not to be confused with chalking inks. These two were little gifts from Creative Memories. You can burnish the side of your papers with these to add a little depth and dimension. But not to be confused with actual stamp pad ink. And not to be confused with colored pencils that are actually pastel pencils. While these pastel pencils will give you a similar color look to the chalks and pastels I'm going to be working with, they are not the same thing. So what I am talking about are three products that are on the market that are hot. They love, people love using them. And the first is the Stampin' Up! Pastels. These are chalks from Stampin' Up! And we'll get to those. This is Pebbles. These are called cream chalks, but they are also pastels. So you can see where the name starts getting a little squirrely between the products. And then, not to add anything else, these are pan pastels. These are artist grade painting pastels, and what they can do for you in your card making is phenomenal. These are by far my favorite thing to work with. However, they are rather expensive, very expensive. So I really only have 11 colors so far. This one came in this little capsule here, so we'll get to those in a minute. When you are playing with pastels or chalks, there's many things you can have on hand, and as very simple things you can have on hand. They are not, once you get through the initial cost of buying these products, everything else is downhill from there. It's cheap. You can use anything to apply them. You can use your fingers to apply them. And all you need are a few key things, and this is where we'll begin. So using any of the chalks, you can use Q-tips, cotton balls, a sponge stick. This actually came from the gelatos, but it's got a nice foam stick pushy thing at the top here. I don't even know what to call it, but it is there. I didn't put this on the list, but a stipple brush will work. A foam makeup applicator. If you go to Hobby Lobby, I know they actually have these. These are just sponge sticks. Look like makeup brushes. You could use makeup brushes. When you get to pan pastels, they come with foam of their own, little sticks to use that are reusable. And you want to know what? If you really enjoyed using these products or the mechanics to get them on, you can get them for your other pastels. So these are interchangeable for sure. No issue. You can use Versamark ink. You can color and make sure you use a black ink. Memento stays on. You can use chalk enhancer, which we'll get to. This is emboss gloss. You can use Versamark markers. You can use a Dove blender pen. You can use a water brush. And I think I've hit it all as for what you can use. And most importantly, sponge daubers. So on your sponge daubers, I have a box of them. I have one side for my inks, if I'm not using actual sponge, and I have one side for my chalks. So make sure you keep them separate. Don't interchange them. And we're going to put those aside. So I'm just going to show you how you can apply them. There's one thing that I did not add to my list, so we'll do that right now. There's a stipple brush. People are really getting into using the stipple brushes. I'm not proficient, so I'm just going to go past that. So we'll open up the chalks. The Stampin' Up! Chalks, it's a 48 set. They come with these little applicator foam toppers, white and also an eraser. Cool thing about chalks, they're erasable, especially for this kit. So let's zoom in here so you can see what I got going on. Okay. Ooh, too far. Okay, so you can use Q-tips. That's the first thing. So I have one started here. I have blue, so I'm going to go in with my blue. I'm just going to color. They will leave a residue, so you want to make sure you can either blow that off or use a Swiffer to clean that off. Swiffers are very nice to have on hand. And then let's go in for the creamy one. back here. So using the creamy chalks and a Q-tip, not the best way to apply it, but it is an option. And then the pan pastel, I'm going to grab some silver just because I don't have blue, and apply it there. And again, you can brush that off. You can go back and layer. So that's one option. Because I love my pan pastels, I'm not going to go back and do that with these because I really only like using this applicator tool, so I'm not going to dig into those. Here's a cotton ball. So we got some blue. Not full, thick coverage, as you're going to see going through. And get some of the creamy chalk, the pebbles. Again, not pulling too much of the color. You can use it to blend if you really need to. This is a sponge stick. Like I said, this was from the gelatos that I had. So I'm going to go into the red. And wipe that off. And then it does work in the creamy as well. So got a little of the red mixed in, but it will work. The makeup, this is great. I love how what coverage this does give. And it just gives a nice shine. Really makes those pop. The sponge daubers, I'll grab red again. My favorite way to apply if I'm not using the pan pastels. The pom-pom, this actually comes with the chalks. I do have pink on it right now, so I'm going to go back in for some pink. So, let's see if we can get that in. Slide over. These are really nice and creamy. They do have a nice shine to them, so they are nice to use. And then let's just go in with the pan pastels. I have gold on here right now, but as I said before, you don't have to, these don't cross-contaminate. So if you came in with gold and went in and applied it, you could go right back into the bronze and use that, and you're not going to cross-contaminate those colors. So let's put the gold down, and it's like butter. I can't, this is just so awesome. So we're going to end with the technique with pan pastels, and I can't wait. So, and then the Stampin' Up, these are the little tools that come in with them. So I'm just going to go in. This has some green on it. So those are those little teeny sticks. And then the stipple, I was using some purple with this. I'm going to swirl around. And it will blend. So if you have some colors in there. Again, not my favorite method. I'm not an expert with it. So I really do enjoy using the sponge daubers, the makeup, the tools that actually come with the kits themselves. I don't think you can really beat that. So if you do run out of little pom-poms, you can use Q-tips. It works out great. So what can you do with these? I'm going to put the pebbles ones aside because they do work very similar. Okay, so you can draw with them. So I'm going to go in right now. I'm just going to pick up some green over here. And I'm going to just do a little flower. I have my brush, which had a little pink left on it. And then we'll go in and grab, this one's got a little purple on it. And you can go back and reapply the color as much as you want. Make it as dark or as light, however you want to do it. Translucent, thick, you can color it all in. Okay, so you can also blend them. So I have a red dauber here. I'm going to go in for some red. And then I'm going to break that off just a little bit because I'm going to go in just do some orange. Grab orange. So now I have orange. And if you start swirling them together, you can see that the colors do blend and make a really pretty color. I'm going to wipe that off. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can use Versamark ink. I am using one of the Delicate Aster stamps from Heartfelt Creations. And I'm going to stamp two because I want to show you what you can and can't do. So there's two images of this little flower. I'm going to do blue. The correct way to really do this with a sponge dauber or any of the chalks is to pounce. and you'll see that the image itself will pop right off the paper. Let's find a quiet corner here. Now, if you go in and you just start swirling, you see how the entire image gets blurred out with the blue. So you can wipe it off, and as I said earlier, chalks are also erasable, so you can go in and you could clean up around the flower. All depends on what your end game is with what you want to do with them. And we'll do more with the eraser in a minute. And you can also layer them. There's, if you have the stamps that allow you to layer, you can start with Versamark. I'm going to go in. This is a poinsettia, not timely, I know. It's the only one I have that does it. So since it's red, I'll take my red. And I'm just going to pounce all over it. Try and keep it consistent with where the Versamark is, so I'm not smearing like I did all the way over there. And then once you have your image the way you want it, you can clean it off. Add a little color if you need. And then you can go right back in and stamp over it with the solid. Now I'm not trying to line this up, so this could go terrible. And it did. I'm a little off a little bit. But you can see where you can layer it and color it in and then go back in and add the stamp to it. So another technique is you can use your stamp and color the image directly on it. So I have this cute little tulip, and I'm going to stamp it with Versamark ink. You will want to have a baby wipe available when, if you were going to do it this way. This provides and creates such a nice background. I love it. So my tulip, I'm going to make it red. I'm going to use a sponge dauber, and I'm going to pick up the red, and I'm just going to pounce right on my stamp. I'm going to come in with the green. We'll use this green. And I'm just going to pounce right on the stamp. So you can see that there's color on it clearly, and it's going to transfer. And you can see the image. It's a nice fade. It's not so much ink. It's a classy look. So I enjoy that, working with them that way, especially if you have a nice simple image. The next thing you can do, as I said before, is you can erase. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to make a big old blur. So if you want to do a background, you absolutely could. And come back. And then come in with your eraser if you wanted to do some diagonal lines for a background. You could do that. I'm not taking much time and making sure my lines are where they need to be, so if you're going to do it, you could do it on a better line. Again, have your Swiffer ready if you're going to do this kind of thing, just to wipe it up, because if you use your hand, you will probably smear it, and you don't want that. You can see where I miffed up a little over here. But again, use that eraser, it'll come right off. So, one of my favorite things to use the chalks are for is for lifting images. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to go back in and I'm going to use the green, and I'm going to, you're going to see the right way and the wrong way. Going to make big green blob. When I'm also doing this, because this really only works on colored paper, so I'm also going to do it on black. Okay. So now we're just going to reverse engineer what we had done earlier. And I lost a cute little stamp. Here it is. So I have the word love on my stamp pad, and I'm going to use Versamark ink, and I'm going to load that up, and I'm going to come over to the green. Try to wipe it off so I don't smear it again. And if you stamp in here, you're going to notice that maybe some of the chalks come up, maybe not. You can see the tinge a little bit over here. You can see that it's leaving a watermark in here. You theoretically could just come back in and pounce over it. So not necessarily lifting the image, but it is giving it a layer. But what happened was it moved some of the green. Now, watch what happens when you do it on the black. I'm going to stamp up again, and I'm going to go, this is a quick brush. It pulls it right off the color. So now there's actually some green ink, and you can come back over here, and it's very light, but it pulled the color right out of the image. This is the card we're going to do at the end with pan pastels. So that's what they say when they talk about lifting the image. It really only works on dark cardstock, not necessarily the white, because you could see before that it didn't come off very well. Two other ways that you can use the stencils, excuse me, is with stencils or as a mask. So you very well could, I'm going to grab my makeup brush, get pink. You could just go in and use a regular old stencil and just brush it in. So that's one way. You also could grab another makeup brush. Hang on one second, I'm gonna grab that. And you could use Versamark ink and put it in. Go right in. You could use the, move up here, you could use a Versamark marker and you could color in an area. You could ink the area. Just gonna do a little extra. And then you can come right back in with the color. So actually, no, we stayed with pink, we'll stay with pink. All depends on what your plan is, what you're trying to make, how bright and brilliant you want the color to be. Versamark will add some good color to it. So you can see, you can go direct to paper or right on Versamark. So I left the middle open. Or you can play with them as a mask. So I had cut out a few butterflies here. And if I were to fold my paper in half, like pretend like I was making a card. And I'm going to layer mine. This is repositionable Tombow tape, so they will come up. And if I wanted to put these on the sides of my card, flip it over. And then you could come in, we'll do blue, and you could just go around them. You can do this with flowers. Oops. It all depends on what you feel like working with. Turn this, actually cap that. Add a little extra blue. Okay, so now because I use repositionable tape, these will pop right off, and you have a masked image. So that's another option. But to finish up, it's Easter, and I do need to make an Easter card. So I wanted to play with the pan pastels, and this is a new color pack that I bought. So they stack really well. So spread these colors out. And they do hold the tools at the bottom. So I'm not going to use blue this time. I'm going to change my applicator tip and put a clean one on. Not that it matters, but it's a brand new kit. You know, you always want to keep things nice that you're playing with. Move these out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend these 4 colors together using this. I'm going to go lightest to darkest, and I'm just going to swizzle around. You can wipe off, and here's the yellow. I'm going right into the green. They do have a nice shimmer to them. Just going to dab off a little bit. Green, going right into pink. Color just isn't coming with it. And pink and all those colors right into the purple. And I'm going to go back for some green. Pink. Go back to yellow. And I've seen that I've mixed them all together. I am going to give it a quick brush just to make sure there's nothing loose hanging around. And so this is a black piece of paper, all with the pan pastels on them. So now, because I know it's going to lift off of any of the stamped images, I have my Easter eggs. So we're going to do some Easter eggs and stamp this up with my Versamark ink. I'm going to come right down, if I don't make a mess, come right down on my image. And pick up. So now I have pan pastel Easter eggs, and I have my image, my So Happy, that I'm going to use as my sentiment. I'm going to cut that out. So this is the pan pastels. They are shimmery up in person. I don't know if you can really see that at home. But you can see the colors that are mixed in, the purples, the yellows. These are awesome, awesome chalks to work with. I do love them. These are, they're a lighter color, not as brilliant as some of the other nice dark colors, rich colors that they have. But this we will be putting on an Easter card. Those of you that really want your chalks to stay forever, you can use a clear acrylic sealer from Mod Podge. You can use a fixative, those work, or plain old hairspray. Any of those will work and lock your chalks in so that they don't really smudge. They're not going to move anywhere, but if you want to keep it forever and ever, that's one way to do it. So I hope this was informational. As I said in the beginning, there's a lot to do with chalks, and what's going to happen next week, I'm going to go into using liquids, water, the chalk enhancer, the Dove blender pen, and acetate and stays on white ink. So that's coming up. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed and learned a little bit more about chalks. Have a good night. Bye-bye.